Hello! The actor Regan Thompson retired 20 years ago from the superhero trilogy, where he played the lead role of the brutal Birdman. He desperately tries to make a name for himself in the theater with his own play, but people refuse to see him in any other way and wait for him to put the superhero mask back on. Failures pile up one on top of another, but the man pursues his goal in spite of the criticism both from outside and inside his head. His inflated ego takes the form of a familiar low voice that won't shut up about his hidden superpowers and offers to spread his wings to fly away from the foul-smelling theatrical dressing rooms. Regan Thompson is sitting in a lotus pose, hovering 1 meter above the ground in his dressing room. He hears the low and husky voice of Birdman, the popular cape and mask-wearing superhero, whose role he has played years ago. The voice insists that this dressing room smells bad and condemns the man for giving up Hollywood movies and worldwide fame for some stupid theater. Regan's meditation is interrupted by his daughter Sam, who works as his assistant. She can't find the right flowers in the store, and her father asks her to buy anything but roses. Regan heads to the stage through the narrow corridors of the backstage area. On the way, he complains to his manager Jake that one of the main actors, Ralph, keeps overacting. Thompson, who is the writer, director, and the lead actor of the play, joins the rehearsal. 2 men and 2 women are having a conversation in the kitchen about the nature of love. Once again, Regan can't stand his partner's acting and looks up at the light fixtures. Suddenly, one of the lamps falls directly on Ralph's head and knocks him out. While everyone rushes to the actor in shock, Regan just walks off backstage. Jake rushes after him. The play is in jeopardy, and something has to be done to find a replacement. The man replies that he wants to cancel the premiere altogether and is glad that this has happened. It wasn't an accident.
I made it happen. Oh, okay. Are you drunk?
After all, they decide to quickly find another actor. Regan goes to the dressing room, where journalists will soon arrive to write about the premiere. He desperately tries to drown out the recurring voice in his head.
We were the real thing, Regan. We had it all.
On the table, he sees the roses his daughter bought him with a note saying, "They didn't have whatever you wanted," and he launches the vase into the wall with the force of his gaze. The voice claims that no one knows what the actor is capable of. The visiting reporters aren't interested in the upcoming performance at all. They want to know if Regan will return to the role of Birdman and what he's been injecting into his face to slow down his aging. When they leave, the actor removes a huge superhero poster from his wall and tries to hide it, but it turns out to be too bulky for that. Jake has trouble finding a popular actor. Fortunately, the actress Leslie is in a relationship with the theater star Mike Shiner, who agrees to participate. He comes to the rehearsal and surprises Regan with the fact that he already knows the script, as he had been helping Leslie rehearse it. Mike makes multiple suggestions of his own, and now Regan, who is the scriptwriter, feels like an amateur. They are interrupted by Sam, who calls Mike for a costume fitting. Along the way, the narcissistic actor flirts with the girl in order to try on the pants. The man strips naked, after which Leslie walks in. She doesn't see Sam, who is standing in the corner, and tells Mike to cover up because Regan's daughter is always hanging around the theater. Leslie says that the girl is a drug addict and pisses her off terribly. Mike reveals with a smile that the girl has been right next to them the whole time.
Listen, when I said that, I didn't...
Don't worry about it. He's a handful, huh?
Leslie, burning with shame, yells at the guy and begs him not to sabotage her first Broadway performance. Jake informs him that there is no money for Mike's salary, but Regan convinces him that he will pay it out of his own pocket. Actress Laura catches him on his way down the hall. She's convinced that the director has gotten her pregnant, which leaves the man stunned. He unconvincingly pretends to be happy and gets slapped. It's time for the pre-show, at which Mike drinks real gin on stage. Regan joins the show, swapping alcohol for water on the go. He begins his monologue and is rudely interrupted by Mike. In front of the audience, he yells at Regan for interfering with his method of acting and that he's furious that everything around him isn't real. The drunk actor smashes up the set, scaring his colleagues and the audience. Regan orders to lower the curtain and demands Mike be kicked the hell out of the play. Once again, Jake tries to reassure his friend. Ticket sales have skyrocketed because of the celebrity, so they should reconcile. Regan has invested too much effort and energy into the play, so he agrees. Regan's ex-wife, Sylvia, finds the man in the dressing room and tries to cheer him up. Regan says he's going to sell his house in Malibu to fund the production. Sylvia is surprised by this. The house was supposed to be their daughter's inheritance. She asks the dad to take care of their daughter, who is struggling with addiction. They recall why they broke up. Regan was always too needy for love, but mistook it for admiration, and was short-tempered and rude. He still obsesses about not being remembered for his accomplishments in the world of cinema after his death. Regan goes out to settle their disagreements with Mike on the street. He rejects all accusations because he doesn't give a damn about the audience who bought discounted tickets to an open rehearsal. That's what pre-shows are for. They go to the nearest bar, where Mike teaches the Hollywood movie star that things are different in New York, and all that matters is what the Times Magazine critic will say about tomorrow's premiere. Mike has no respect for superhero movies that are made for idiots and have been put on stream. On Broadway, he has to really get into each role to make the audience feel something special, and this job is much harder. At this point, a woman comes up from behind them and asks Mike to take a picture of her and Birdman. Thompson awkwardly agrees. Afterward, he reveals why the play is so important to him. As a teenager, he played in the school theater, and one day the author of What We Talk About When We Talk About Love, Raymond Carver, came into the auditorium. After the performance, he handed Riggin a note saying, "Thank you for an honest performance." That's how the man decided to become an actor, and now has written a play based on the story. Riggin pulls out and shows the very note, and Mike points out that it was made on a napkin from the bar. He downplays the gesture, saying that Carver was probably drunk. The guy points to the critic Tabitha sitting behind the bar, whose opinion will decide the future of the play. Mike approaches her, and the woman asks what it's like for him to work with a clown in a bird costume. But Mike respects Thompson for the risk he has taken. The critic, on the other hand, risks nothing and deserves no such respect. Tabitha threatens to leave a bad review. Riggin leaves the bar and returns to the theater, where he meets Sam. He tries to thank her for helping him prepare the play, but suddenly smells smoke. He gets furious and starts blaming his daughter for her addiction, but Sam goes on the attack herself. She screams that her father doesn't care about art and is just desperate to preserve his fading popularity.
It's not important, okay? You're not important. Get used to it.
She leaves, and Riggin lights up the daughter's cigarette himself. This relaxes him. During the second preview, everything is going fine until the final scene begins. In it, Riggin catches his wife Leslie in bed with her lover Mike. During preparation, Mike demands from the girl that they actually make love right on stage. Leslie is forced to fight him off until Riggin enters with a gun in his hand. Mike jumps out of bed, and the audience bursts into laughter over his embarrassing appearance. However, the cast manages to finish the scene, which ends with the husband saying, "I don't exist," and shooting himself in the head. Everyone goes out to bow. Leslie can't forgive the guy's sexual harassment and wants to break up with him.
Maybe up here you're Mr. Truth, but in the real world where it counts, you're a fraud.
Laura and then Riggin try to calm the girl down in the dressing room. The director says she is a wonderful actress and he is lucky to have her. Laura is upset that Riggin hasn't said anything like that to her throughout their whole 2-year relationship. Now it's Leslie who is reassuring her friend, which eventually culminates in a kiss. Mike wants to reconcile with Leslie, but gets kicked out. After which he goes to Riggin to criticize him for the prop gun, which is all too obviously filled with red paint. Before leaving, he does mention that the audience liked the play. Mike goes out on the roof for a smoke and finds Sam sitting on the ledge. The girl has recently returned from rehab and is trying to get some adrenaline. They play truth or dare, and Sam asks if the man wants her. Mike confesses that he has a problem with desire in bed. On stage, he can do anything, but in real life, it's the other way around. Sam keeps flirting, and then Mike says he'd like to rip her eyes out and put them in his skull so he could see the world the way he used to when he was young. That's not what the girl wanted to hear. Sam walks away, leaving Mike alone with his thoughts. The next day, Laura brings in a newspaper with an article and a picture of Mike on the front page. In it, he talks about the play and lies that he became an actor because of a note from Raymond Carver. The director himself is only mentioned in passing at the end of the article. Riggin becomes furious and hurts Laura without even realizing it. The girl says she's not pregnant after all and leaves in tears. The voice returns to emphasize the humiliation.
He stole your front page. He's stealing your show. He thinks you're a joke.
Overwhelmed with rage, the man finds the insolent man and attacks him. Mike, as usual, excuses his actions by saying that all of this and his popularity only helps the common cause. Riggin ends up punching the actor in the nose and leaves after the scuffle. In the dressing room, the voice says nasty things to him again, and the man uses telepathy to smash the room. Jake opens the door.
So annoying! Shut up!
He's worried about Riggin's condition and tells him that in an hour, it's time to go on stage. The actor is once again disappointed and wants to cancel the last preview. But Jake says that they've sold out all tickets and there's a huge line outside. He also lies that Martin Scorsese will be in the audience looking for actors. Leslie and Laura eavesdrop behind the door. Leslie stops by to thank the director for the opportunity to play on Broadway. Mike meets Sam on the roof again. She sees the bruise on his face and thinks that Leslie caused it because of the breakup. Mike denies it, and Sam realizes that her father did it. She hates him for never being present in her life, but Mike only laughs at her. There are far worse fathers than her dad. Mike and Sam kiss and make love on the bridge above the stage. The play begins and everything is going great, but before the last scene, Riggin notices Mike kissing Sam. He gets angry, and to calm himself down, goes outside with a cigarette. But the door shuts from the inside, and his robe gets stuck between the leaves. The actor must run in just his underwear all the way around the theater through a crowd of people. He even signs an autograph on the way and is filmed by the onlookers. He rushes inside through the auditorium and screams his line, walking between the astonished audience. Before the assistant gives him the gun, the man uses his fingers to depict it.
Now, I spend every day trying to be somebody else, somebody I'm not.
They end the scene this way. Sam is waiting for her father in the dressing room and tries to be supportive. She shows him the video that was shot while he was walking down Broadway in his underpants. It gets millions of views. After the show, Riggin goes to a bar where he is approached by Tabitha. He wants to tell her the story about the napkin, but she rudely interrupts the man.
As a matter of fact, you did. You took up space in a theater which otherwise might have been used on something worthwhile.
She is going to write a most devastating review and shut down the play. Tabitha is clearly biased against Riggin because of her bad attitude towards Hollywood, even though she has not read or seen the play. Riggin retaliates by taking her notebook away from her and insulting her. The man gets very drunk and falls asleep in the street. In the morning, Birdman appears beside him in the flesh. He walks beside Riggin, insulting him. The superhero convinces the man to give up the ridiculous theater dreams and go back to Hollywood and make another movie about him. Riggin no longer resists and listens to the voice with a smile. He snaps his fingers, and cars and helicopters start exploding around him, shooting at a huge robot bird. The actor flies up to the roof of the building and stands on the ledge. A stranger tries to take him down from it. Riggin says he's alright and makes a running leap from the building. He flies over the city with his arms outstretched. The voice is pleased with the man's actions. Riggin descends next to the theater building and goes inside. A cab driver runs after him, demanding to be paid for the ride. The evening before the premiere, Riggin's dressing room is full of flowers. Sylvia walks in and notices that they are all roses, which he hates. He confesses that he has been hearing a voice in his head that tells him the truth, but the woman doesn't want to hear about it. Riggin recalls how they once quarreled over his cheating. Back then, Sylvia threw all his things out the window, and he went to the ocean and tried to drown himself. But once he went into the water, jellyfish began stinging him, and Riggin raced onto the shore. Sylvia remembers that he explained the marks as sunburns. The man confesses his love for his ex-wife. He regrets that he was a bad husband and father. Now he too has embarrassed himself by running down the street in his underpants. Riggin is called for the last scene. He puts on a wig and pulls out a gun hidden on his shelf. Before going on stage, he ignores an assistant who wants to give him a bag of fake blood. He plays the husband who catches his wife with another man. His rage is instantly replaced by despair.
You know, do you?
No.
And you never will.
Sorry.
He feels insignificant, non-existent in this world. Riggin pulls the trigger and falls. Everyone in the audience, except Tabitha, gives him a standing ovation. Life flashes before the actor's eyes. Superheroes, jellyfish, an orchestra. In the hospital room, there is Sylvia and Jake, who has brought a newspaper with Riggin's picture on the front page. The play has become a worldwide sensation, and critics write that Thompson has given birth to a new era of theater, ultra-realism, the unexpected virtue of ignorance. They call the actor's act, thinking he didn't know the gun was loaded. Jake is advised to play along this theory too, so as not to fall under the brandishing a weapon charge. Riggin has survived and only shot off his nose, which has been repaired by surgery. Sam brings her father lilac flowers, the smell of which he really likes.
What's so funny?
I can't smell them.
His daughter takes a picture of the man's bandaged face to post it on Twitter. Sam goes to get a vase, and Riggin removes the bandage in the bathroom. He looks at himself in the mirror and notices Birdman sitting next to him on the toilet. Riggin goes to the window where he sees birds flying in the sky. He opens it and climbs out onto the ledge. Sam returns and does not find her father in the room. She runs to the open window in panic and looks down, but sees nothing unusual there. She raises her eyes to the sky and her face lights up in a delighted smile. As always, look for the name of the movie in the video description. In the meantime, let us know in the comments, what do you think Sam saw in the final scene? And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and give this video a like so that more awesome stories come out as often as possible.